And we are live. If you're already here, thank you very much for waiting on us. Sorry for the little delay, whatever you call it. And we're, of course, here today to, well, first of all, celebrate men's mental health. And secondly, to give away a book we got that, wow. Oh, I've heard, so forgot to turn off the audio on the YouTube. That was very awkward when that came on. So now I know that at least we're live and I hit it perfectly. But yeah, give away, as Linda showed, a book about men's mental health. It's called Mental Health. I say it in a funny way because that's how it's spelled, at least with the capitalization. It's time to talk. And one of the bracelets, Linda, please pull up your arm. One of those bracelets, I can't remember quite what they're called, but Linda's going to tell you all about the details. And I just wanted to quickly take the time to mention that even though I haven't read this book, I can't think it's anything but amazing because I had the pleasure of doing an interview with Allan Kehler, the author of the book, or one of the co-authors, should I say. We're going to tell a story from the book, like just a quick little snippet so you know what you're getting. Just to, yeah, a little bit later. Linda's going to do that. And yeah, he has an amazing story, ups, downs, like an extreme roller coaster. And that's why I think the book is just so great because it tells different stories. People have different experiences, so you can relate to it. And Linda, since I've kind of been previewing what we're going to do a little bit, why don't you take us through the details of a little bit, read the little snippet from the book, and just talk about the like both items we're giving away.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited and delighted to do it. But before we do that, I want to also acknowledge Darren, who is one of our facilitators here on the men's room. And so he's joining us today, and we may have a few more men from our community joining us. And so there's going to be an opportunity to have some dialogue once we go through and get a taste of what Allan Kehler's book is about. Because as Mess has said, we want you to understand what you might be getting an opportunity to win. And then the bracelet, you had said, I don't really know what it's about. And really, what it says on it is born resilient. And so it's all about, in times of challenge, embracing the fact that you are born resilient. So what better way than to wear this band and then take this book and read the stories. And so I really wanted to read one to you, and not the whole story, just a few paragraphs of it, just to get an idea. I have experienced periods of depression and hypnomania throughout my life. However, I never sought help with my moods until I was 50 years old. Because for me, admitting I was depressed and needed help was unthinkable. The only reason I finally went to a doctor was because my wife gave me an ultimatum: see a doctor or see myself out the door. I sensibly decided to see the doctor. And so fast forward to why that was so difficult is this. While my role as a university professor allows me to work with incredible students and conduct scientific research, it's also stressful and highly competitive. The pressure to be productive is high, and you are constantly being evaluated on your performance as both a teacher and a researcher. You never want to be perceived as weak, because that could affect not only your reputation, but also any potential promotions. As a result, most professors become really good at hiding their problems, not only from their colleagues, but from people in general. That is just one powerful story in the collection of many. And what is, I guess, the thing that I want to say about this book is that when you open up and speak to the things, then you're owning your own story. And when you own your own story, and you can talk about the challenges and the struggles, then it helps to heal you, and somebody else might be needing to hear that story, and it just makes a case for, oh, I can do that too because they have spoken to it. And the reason why we don't do this, and the reason why a lot of men don't do this, because we're talking about the men's room topics here, is because of the shame that could come up from being able to acknowledge that you might be going through something. I mean, to be honest, it takes a lot of courage when you recognize there's something that below the surface that's really challenging you. And the whole thought about talking about it just feels excruciating because you got to bring up that pain, that messiness, um, all of those things. But what I wanted to share also is that when you can get courageous and do that, then what ends up happening is that you can acknowledge, who you are. You can show up anyway, right? And so you are worth, a lot, just like in how you are and how you show up. It's not about you have to do certain things that all of a sudden you become worthy. You already are, and so that's one of those things that's really hard for a lot of us to step into, is the fact that we're already enough, because we hear all the time, oh, you're enough, self-care, practice all these things. But you know what? Sometimes you might be later in life until you actually experience it to actually get it. And I wanted to throw out, before we leave today, another book recommendation that I highly recommend because I think it will get to the issue. So the thing that I want to do before, one more thing, because I'm holding on here, is the fact that part of this giveaway and this drawing, it's more than getting the book as a resource, but we also, as a men's room channel, wanted to hear from our listeners what most would be helpful as far as the topics that we bring in, speakers, experts, clinicians, other people that are going through things. And so some of the topics that came up were people wanted to hear more about how to become more disciplined and follow through with the goals that they set, how to deal with stress, loneliness, how to recognize and work through stress so you don't experience burnout. Here's another good one: feeling I need to be busy to be doing something. We have dealing with a partner who has a long-term medical condition, so being a provider for someone else that's going through tough things. And the one for me that really ties it all together, it's okay to not be okay and talk about it, which I'm going to bring up the book recommendation because I thought about that. That's been something that's been in mainstream media for a while about talking to things, and you'll learn why in a little bit. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to draw one of these lucky individuals here. I'm doing it old school, as you can tell. I don't have the random generator. Okay, so our winner today is Parker R. So we will be reaching out to you to confirm your address, and we will get the book and the bracelet to you in the mail. So congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, Parker. And if you're here with us live, you heard yourself, you didn't win, you still have a chance to win a book because we leave all the names in the cup, and you're going to have a chance of winning it the next time. If you don't win anything the next time, then you're out of luck. You're going to have to go buy the book on Allan Kehler's website, which is allankehler.com. Couldn't resist to do a little plug. And I thought, since you did book recommendations, that's why I unmuted myself, is a great book if it comes to understanding your brain. Is that something you want to do? Is the chip paradox, like the monkey, the chip. I often see that clapping the thing. I don't think they do that in nature. Great book, just because we are very relatable to chips, and just this our brain is complicated, but it works in simple ways. So partly, so part of the brain is more complex, but a lot of like the emotional stuff is Like if you can understand it on the simple basis, it allows you to easily take decisions and control both your emotions and also what's gonna happen, the outcome. You're not as easily just gonna fly off in a random direction. And to all of those people that put on those fantastic recommendations, I'll be going through fucking camera that does this. I never worked out why the AI all of a sudden decides to zoom in. Let's zoom out a little bit. This is awkward. There we go. What I was about to say is I'll be going through just to see if we've already done an episode that would be relatable to what you spoke about, just so you can maybe hear another person's story. That's what's so great about Allan's books, and all stories have that in common and makes it feel more relatable. And also, if you want to come on the business library, the business library, that's not a show that I run, the men's room show, and have a discussion about specifically the thing you put in the form, reach out to me, Ellen, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. We might even reach out to you.
And before we transition into the next book recommendation, Darren, I wanted you to just share a little bit about the work that we do together when we've done facilitation for the small group discussion when it's come to talking of topics that where it takes a little bit of vulnerability and courage to open up. Would you mind sharing with us?
Yeah, hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Basically what we do with the men's group is just basically as men and with Linda helping out, we're just sharing basically who we are, what do we do. We share different topics. Sometimes we get off topics because it's like a lot of issues that men go through that they really want to talk about. So it's just a space just for men where you can come in and share on different things that like from the topics that Linda was sharing from the book. You might be going through a situation with your wife, or you may be going through a situation with your family. You may be going through whatever you're going through. This is just a safe space for you to open up and share what you need to share as a man, because a lot of men cannot open up to other people about different things that's going on in their life. So this is just a safe space where you can do that. It may take time, but once you understand, once you come in and share what you share, you might get somebody to share a message with you that would change your life around. So that's basically what the men's group is about.
Thank you for putting that in a place that we all can visualize that. And, one of the things that we also like to do in this space, aside from picking a topic and then dumping or diving right into it and going through it, we also have the space where individuals can bring up their own issue or something they'd like to learn about. And so in this, it's really a balance of both. And the book recommendation that I wanted to make to everyone today is really from Brene Brown. And it's a book called The Gifts of Imperfection. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. And it really it's a smaller guide. It's about 130 pages about how you can live a wholehearted life, so a heart-centered life. So all of this in here has a lot to do with telling the story and knowing who you can open up to, because not everyone has a privilege to sit with you as you go through things. And so it talks about how we can do that and what that really means and how you go about it, because a lot of times we hear these great things that we could try, but we don't really know how to go about it and how to take maybe what we learn and actually implement it. And so I am not all the way through the book, but I see some threads that I feel will be very supportive and helpful, in addition to some other areas, combining them. And so in the coming months, I would like to have some discussions around some of the themes, because I think for me, when I read these things, it was a game changer. And I thought, wow, now that I understand this, I can actually own my own story. I can go away from shame, and I can like take a step forward, just one step at a time, and get to a different place, because all of us want to be acknowledged and connected and be loved and cared for. But there's things that get in the way. So this book talks about some of the things that get in the way of us doing that. So I felt like, talking about some of the difficult or things that are the roadblocks and figuring out how to unpack those would be supportive for our group. So I will drop in this live stream after we leave the books that we've mentioned. Mentioned a book. I've got the Brene book, and then of course Allan's book. So those are 3 right there. And feel free for any of you that are listening to also share some other books that you have found to be supportive and are game changers, because you don't know what you don't know. And the book that I'm reading now is because of a couple of gentlemen that I met through networking. They highly recommended the book. So while Brene Brown is a female author and she is a researcher, the recommendations were coming from men. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go check this out, because I've been a part of Brene's work before, as far as some leadership type workshops where we learn different skills. And so this was a one I hadn't heard of before, and I'm absolutely loving it. So you guys will too, I'm sure.
Appreciate that, Linda. I'll check if there's an audiobook version. And just as a final note here, like, for whatever reason, what you talked about brought something interesting up in my mind. I had a conversation with a lovely gentleman earlier this month, and he was talking about a guy called Mo Gatdate. I'll just put the link in the live stream, because you ain't gonna spell it from that. I can completely understand. And he's been the AI guy at Google, but he has a very interesting perception of the brain, actually, and how he really breaks it down. Like, the brain makes us unhappy because it puts value on the phone and what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And that could as much been just referred to as like yourself. You, at the end of the day, you're yourself are making yourself unhappy because you are letting these things have value within your life. Nobody else is forcing you to do that. That's your own decision. Nobody can force you to do that. You decide to do it, even though it might feel different, that you don't have that decision. You do. So don't rely on your happiness or anything like that from an external place. Find it within yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to end up hurting people at the end of the day. And I don't have much more else to add on besides that. So I don't know if you have something, Linda, or you have something, Darren, or we should just end it off here and say thank you to the listeners. I'll take that as let's say thank you to the listeners. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and catch us on the next live or the next podcast, whichever one comes first. I have a feeling it might be a podcast. We have a few exciting ones in the works. Sometimes great things just takes time.
Yes, and so you're right. Great things do take time. And so with that, great things are coming. And if you would like to be a guest, or you would like to come in and be a support in our community, we'd like to hear from you. We'll go again, leave the email address so you can reach out to us. And with that, we will see you next time. Thank you.